Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our monthly webinar series. Today's focus will be school year 21-22 National School Lunch Program Renewal Applications. Couple housekeeping items before we get started. This training will be recorded and posted on NDA's YouTube page. All participants are being placed on mute as they are entered. There will be a question and answer section at the end, so feel free to utilize the chat function as I go along to type any questions you may have. For those of you crediting this for your professional standards hours, you will code this for 3,000 for administration, specifically 3,200 for program management, and this will equate to about 30 minutes of creditable training. So the agenda today, we will cover all the National School Lunch or standard operators, all their required documents, as well as for the residential child care institutions, all of their required documents. We will discuss in detail the Seamless Summer Option opt-in form, since that is new to everyone. I will also discuss the CNP sponsor applications as well as the site applications. Then I'll discuss application submission and then open it up to question and answers. So the first document that you'll see in your application packets will be a checklist. We do have one for National School Lunch Program, our standard operators, as well as our RCCIs. This will be Form 1 or R1, depending on your checklist you see. And this is meant to be a guide for you to go along to make sure that you are submitting all the required documentations to opt into our programs. On page 1, you will fill out your sponsor name. You will answer questions 16 or 18 as applicable if you do use a food service management company or a vended meal service. And then on the last page, page 2, you will both print and sign the name of the staff member submitting the application. The next form, this will be number 2 or R2, depending on your checklist. On page 1, you will fill out your sponsor name, the address, the DUNS number, and the federal ID number. And then on the last page, page 10, you'll see a chart like the one below, and you're going to put a check next to all of the applicable programs that you will be operating in the 21-22 school year. If you do plan on operating the Seamless Summer Program, and you're operating, for example, lunch and breakfast, you will still want to mark the National School Lunch Program and School Breakfast Program to indicating that you are serving those lunch and breakfast programs. If you plan on operating the NSLP After School Snack Program, you will put a check under the 10.555 After School Snack Program. And for all of you looking to use your entitlement to purchase USDA foods or use the DoD Fresh program, make sure you check 10.555 to USDA foods for the National School Lunch Program. This form must be signed by your designated official in blue, and there will also be a section where you can indicate what type of institution you are. So the next document we will ask for you is your policy amendment. This will be Form 3 or R3. This allows you to roll over all of those standard policies in your policy statement, meal charge policy, special diet policy, wellness policy, or your food safety and HACCP manual. Since the seamless summer option, if you do decide to go with that USDA flexibility, this will change your counting and claiming procedures. However, since this is a temporary solution through a waiver for this year, you do not have to make any changes to your standard policy statement. You can roll over that same policy statement and we will collect those procedures on our SSO opt-in form. And Once you designate all policies that you would like to roll over, you will submit any changed policies if you decide to not roll those over, and you will have your designated official sign in blue. So the next form will be 4 or R4, and this is our SSO opt-in form, and this will be new for everyone this year to opt in to the nationwide flexibilities offered by USDA. On page 1, you're going to complete your sponsor name as well as the person who's completing the form, and you will select all the waivers you would like to opt into, and I will go into them into detail in the next few slides so you know exactly what you're electing into when you select each waiver. And again, these waivers only apply to the 21-22 school year. This does not apply to any operations that you will be having in the summertime. So the first one, the big one, is number 85, which allows you to operate seamless summer option in all of your school sites for the 21-22 school year. You can select to operate an open, restricted, or closed at all of your school sites, regardless of your free and reduced lunch percentage. Under SSO, you can operate 2 meal programs. It can be any combination of breakfast, lunch, and snack. And under SSO, you can serve and claim all meals at the free rate. And please note, if you are electing into the Seamless Summer option, you will automatically receive the higher Summer Food Service Program reimbursement rates. There's no additional application to receive these higher reimbursement rates. So the next waiver is number 87. This allows non-congregate meal services for the school year. So if you plan on operating a closed site, a hybrid, or you're trying to serve students outside of the cafeteria, you will want to elect into the non-congregate waiver. Number 88 is the meal times waiver. So this allows you to waive the requirements set forth in 7 CFR 210 and 220 with your breakfast and lunch meal service times. So if you're operating a distribution model, plan on serving multiple days of meals at one time or breakfast and lunch at the same time, you will want to elect into this waiver. For waiver number 89, this allows parents and guardians to pick up meals for children. This one is pretty self-explanatory. At any time during the school year, are you going to allow the parents to pick up meals on the child's behalf? You will want to elect into waiver number 89. Number 90 is the meal pattern waiver, and this is slightly different than what you've been used to for this current school year and for the COVID-specific waivers that were released back in March 2020. This waiver only waives specific meal pattern requirements, and this includes the sodium limits, requiring you to offer 100% whole grain rich items for your grains, the whole grain rich requirements in pre-K, vegetable subgroups, milk variety requirements, and the low-fat flavored milk. Keep in mind, if you do request any meal pattern flexibilities, apart from sodium, which can be automatically granted if you elect, all others will be approved on a case-by-case basis if you provide sufficient justification. And this can include shortages from your vendor, exorbitant costs that will cost your SFA, or if it requires additional labor or time to process for the SFA. All of these would be allowable justifications. We just need to be specific for each requirement that you are requesting and have a sufficient justification for these flexibilities. Number 92, this flexibility allows you to serve a straight serve in your high school or in your senior high schools for grades 9 through 12. It's waiving that requirement. 93, area eligibility in the after-school programs. Typically in the NSLP SNAC program, to operate an area-eligible site, you have to have a free and reduced lunch percentage of 50% or more. If you elect into number 93, you can have an area-eligible SNAC program at any of your school sites. Number 94 is the on-site monitoring requirements for the school year. So this waiver is a little different than previous waivers. It does not waive your requirement to conduct monitoring activities at your school sites by February 1st. This waiver allows you to do off-site monitoring. So if you wanted to conduct these monitoring visits via Zoom or Teams, this waiver would allow you to do so. So next, after you select all of the waivers you would like to opt into, there'll be a series of questions on pages 2 through 4 that will ask you questions regarding the waivers you've elected into. And you only have to answer the questions for the waivers that you opted into. So for example, if you did not elect waiver number 89, you will not have to fill out any of those questions. So be sure that you're reading the questions thoroughly and answering all the questions applicable to the waivers you opted into. And on page 5, we're going to ask you to sign and date your opt-in form. Now on the attachments, there's an attachment A and B where you're going to list all of your SSO sites. On page 7, this is where you will list any open or open restricted sites. And the difference between open and open restricted, open sites, you can serve your enrolled students and anyone in the community 18 and under for free. And we do recommend that you operate open site in areas of high need. For your open restricted sites, you can serve your enrolled students and a population defined by the SFA. So this gives you a little leeway here. So for example, some common ones we have seen is that they serve students and their siblings. Or we've seen that they serve their students and the staff or the children of staff at the campus. This can be defined by the SFA, and we allow you to set up that definition. So here's an example of attachment A, and again, this is for all your open sites or open restricted. You will want to list your site name and the address, whether they're open or restricted, the distance from the nearest SSO feeding site, open feeding site. And this is again is for our larger SFAs. If you have multiple school sites with multiple open campuses, we do want to see how close in proximity they are to each other. If you are a charter school and you only have one school under your SFA, we will not be requesting the distance from the nearest district's SSO site. It would only be internally within your SFA. How close is it to another open site? And again, you're allowed to serve 2 meals a day under this program, so please identify if it's breakfast and lunch, just breakfast, just lunch, or lunch and a snack. It could be any combination as long as it doesn't exceed 2. The next column asks if you're going to be doing a multi-day distribution, and you will put either a Y for yes or N for no. If you do put Y, we ask how many days you're distributing at a time. So if you're only distributing three days at a time, we would want to see a Y and a 3. If you're distributing a whole week, we would want to see a Y and a 5. Next, so please identify your meal service times and the days that you'd be distributing. So if you are doing those multi-day distributions, you're only serving 1 day a week for the entire week, you would only list 1 day and the day that you'd be distributing. And then lastly, you're going to identify the end of service date would be the end of the school year, because again, these do not extend into your summer services, either for summer 21 or summer 22. So page 8, this would be attachment B. This is where you're going to list all the information for your closed school sites. And again, closed sites only serve those enrolled students. Here's an example of what attachment B looks like, very similar to attachment A and what we've asked previously from you. You're going to identify the site name, the address, which 2 meals, if you are serving 2, will you be serving under SSO, whether you are operating a multi-day distribution, and if so, how many days, the meal service time, meal service days, and again, the end of your SSO services. Next on our checklist will be item number 5, and this only applies into our standard NSLP sponsors. It does not apply to RCCIs. You will submit a copy of your 21-22 school calendar. So next, menus. This will be item 6 or R5. We ask you to submit a monthly menu for each applicable program. So for breakfast, lunch, and or snack, and for each age grade group. For our larger SFAs, we just want one example from each age grade group. So if you have several different elementary school menus, we do not need to see every variation, just an example of a K through 5 menu, a 6 through 8, and a 9 through 12. This can be from this current school year. We do know things change as we approach the summer into next school year. We just want to be able to verify an example menu. And this does not need to be detailed. We are not going to verify the nutrient requirements. We just need to see that you are offering the required components each day. So for breakfast, we're going to make sure that you are offering daily a grain, fruit, and milk. And lunch, we're going to verify that you're offering a grain, a meat alternate, a fruit, a vegetable, and a milk. So next, this will be item 7 or R6. We will ask for your ending fund balance or your profit and loss statement for your current or most recent completed school year. We do give you a little leeway here. It does not have to be an official profit and loss statement. If it's just a snapshot in time of your current balance, you can send that in and that would suffice. Or it could be your official audited version from the previous school year. Whatever is most easily accessible and you're able to send. So next is your ending your balance report, and this only applies to RCCIs. We will ask for data regarding your revenue, expenses, the meals served to both your students, and the number of adult meals served. Please send this in Excel form, and we will ask from July 2020 through March 2021. So this will be item number 8 and 9 on the NSLP checklist. And again, this does not apply to RCCIs. We will ask for an example of your free and reduced lunch application, as well as your sample media released. And please keep in mind when you're editing that media release to be specific to your SFA. So if you do plan on operating under SSO and providing meals for free, please make sure that is stated in your sample media release, as well as that you will continue to accept applications if the family is wanting to submit one with PEBT being extended. You are still required to collect applications if they are submitted to you. So please make sure to be specific when you're tailoring that media release for your SFA. So next, this will be item 10 or R8. We ask you to submit the annual USDA food storage facility form. And you will only submit this if you use entitlement dollars to purchase your USDA foods. And it must be completed for each site that stores USDA foods. So if you have a central warehouse, that's the only place they're kept, you will have one storage facility form. If they're kept at each school site, we would need to see one for each school site. So then next, this will be item 11 or R9. This is your wellness policy contact form, and we ask you to complete with the name, title, and contact information for the staff member that's tasked with both overseeing the implementation of your local school wellness policy and the person we can contact with any local school wellness policy questions, concerns for your SFA. Next, item number 12, this is only for our standard NSLP operators only, and it's only if any schools in your SFA will be operating under Provision 2 or CEP. For the first page, you're going to fill out all your Provision 2 information. So you list all the school names that will be operating Provision 2, their school code, what programs, whether breakfast, lunch, or both, that you will be operating Provision 2 in, the base year and the recertification method. On page 2, we will ask for your CEP information, so the school name, the school code, base year, and ISP. And this must be signed by your designated official in blue. Now, for those of you using a food service management company or vended meal contract, we will ask that you send either your initial or your renewal contract to be reviewed. For FSMCs, you will also have to submit your monitoring form, so we do know that the SFA is actively monitoring that contract. And then both FSMCs and vetted meals will have a section to complete in CNP, and this is called the Food Service Management Company Contract Fact Sheet, which I know that can be confusing by the name of the title, but all FSMCs and vended meals will have to complete this portion in CNP. To submit all these documents, you will submit electronically via email to Tom Doty. For RCCIs, their application materials are due by May 14th, and for all of our other NSLP program operators, you do have until June 1st to submit this data. We ask you to submit all the documents together in one or minimal emails as long as the file sizes allow. For all of the documents that require to be signed by that designated official in a blue signature, please scan them in color so we could verify the blue signature. And we ask that you please number all the documents as they're listed on the checklist, and this just helps to ease in the processing to make sure that all documents have been submitted for your SFA. So next we're going to switch to the electronic portion of your application, which first is your sponsor application, and you all should be fairly familiar with this process. After you log into CNP, in the green toolbar on the left, you will choose Applications, then Sponsor Applications, and then you will select the appropriate aid year. And then you will choose Select next to your SFA name. Once you press that select button, you will see a table like the one presented here. You will select Go next to the sponsor application, and that will start your application process in CNP. Any prior year information that you've entered is going to transfer over from year to year. So most of this information should be the same for your addresses, things like that, sometimes contact information, but you will want to verify all fields to make sure that it still applies to this school year. Once you confirm all the information is correct or made any needed updates, you're going to select Submit on your sponsor application. After your sponsor application is submitted, you now will be able to submit site applications. Your site applications must be completed for each individual site, and very similar to the sponsor application, the information is going to be transferred over from what was entered prior for last school year. So you'll see the same kind of chart pop up. You'll select the Go button next to Site Information, and then you will see a list of all the sites under your SFA. You will click next to each one you would like to edit, and then complete the site information for that specific school site. So under your site applications, I know you all are used to entering the school lunch and school breakfast program. If you do plan on operating under the SSO flexibility, we will still need you to fill out the lunch and breakfast sections. This allows you to claim lunch and breakfast meals in our claiming system. SSO is claimed in the same manner as lunch and breakfast. So by clicking these two options, it allows you to claim that way in our CNP. So please make sure to click those selections. You'll also be required to fill out the Seamless Summer Options section in CNP if you are utilizing the waiver. Typically, SSO is reserved if you're doing open, or many sites are required to have a free and reduced lunch percentage of 50% or more. And our CNP system is is set up to monitor this. Because there is an area eligibility waiver through our SSO option this year, to override or to get past this error, for those that have a free and reduced lunch percentage below 50, you will still put 50%. You will also indicate that the eligibility was determined by other, and in the other comment box, you're going to list USDA waiver number 85. This will allow you to submit your site application and still be able to claim under SSO because of those USDA waivers. So next, you will go through all the remaining sections of your site applications to make sure they were complete and accurate. You will select Submit, and you will repeat this step for each site application until all the sites under your district or charter school or even RCCI, they all have a site application on file. So that about wraps it up for renewal applications. I will open it up to questions.